BSN Buffs post-game recap. Jake Shapiro here with Ryan Koenigsberg coming to you from San Antonio and the Alamo Dome. One team still gets to celebrate. Unfortunately for the viewers and watchers and readers of BSN Buffs, it is not the Colorado Buffaloes as they drop this contest 38-8. Ryan, a really disappointing performance from the Buffaloes. As one Buffalo told me, they got their butt kicked, and it's the second straight game that's happened.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate for the season to end this way. I mean, we felt, the same sort of thing from them just 3 weeks ago in the Pac-12 championship game. And I think it's really unfortunate for a game to end like this because, to me, in Washington, it really felt like they were just not good enough to be on that field in Washington. Whereas tonight, I do think Oklahoma State is a superior, talented team, but it didn't feel like they really had no shot against them, and I think it's disappointing because they were flat. They were beat up, they were injured. Coach Mack says after the game that there was 2 freak injuries to their star secondary where, Cheeto has a turf toe flare up on him, and then Akello...
Pesky walking on that river walk, we can attest.
Yes, seriously. And, Akello has his shoulder injury where he couldn't raise his arm, so there's just a lot of things that kind of went into this loss, more than just them not being good enough to play with Oklahoma State. So I think that's where it's unfortunate for them, but I think it's also important to realize that for better or for worse, this team wasn't exactly killed, dejected, so disappointed as they were against Washington. I think against Washington they felt very disappointed. Whereas tonight it was kind of like, we still did this, we still won 10 games. And Mike McIntyre sat in there and smiled, and it didn't seem like this bothered them that much. And I don't know whether you want to take that as a good thing or a bad thing.
I talked to a lot of different guys that Ryan did post-game, and they were bothered, I will say that. But, I watched Cephalufau pour some water on Kenneth Olabode as they go into the locker room. They're still pranking each other. Cephalufau puts his arm around Phil Lindsay and calls him his dog. From right next to that locker room, I saw these guys take the L, and, they weren't going to bounce back, but they realized, hey, this isn't the worst thing in the world, and yes, it sours our what could have been Rose Bowl season, maybe even a national title. Who knows what their lofty expectations were in there, but they realized what they still accomplished, and it was a wonderful season no matter what. But looking at this individual game, they just got beat down in every single aspect of it.
Yeah, they couldn't do anything on offense, and that to me was the most damning thing of these last 2 games is they couldn't get going what they had all season, and really going all the way back to Cepho's injury, it seemed like the offense slowly went downhill from exactly that play, which was probably the peak of their offense this season, the bomb to Shea Fields that gets them the lead back in Michigan. That, to me, was the peak of this offense, and that injury, you never fully come back from that. And that was our talk, as we're sitting up there in that press box tonight, was he never fully was back. He wasn't fully accurate. He was running the offense with such ease early. I mean, going back to the Colorado State game when they just absolutely trounced them, it's like they just did it easy. And things got harder and harder for them, and especially in these last 2 games, they didn't get those easy yards that they were getting that made the Darren Cheverini wrinkle, or whatever you want to call it, seem so genius. They were just picking off 6, 7, 8 yards at a time on anyone they wanted to. They didn't get that against these last 2 teams, and I think that a lot of that did have to do with the talent gap. Those teams were better than them. They had them out-schemed, and that's where I think the game was completely out of reach for them because they could just never score the ball.
Speaking of the offense and speaking of the quarterbacks, all 4 losses featured a significant amount of playing time from redshirt freshman Steven Montez. Is that an indictment of Montez in any way, or is it, hey, going forward, look, you got to play in the Pac-12 title game, you got to play in the Alamo Bowl. This was an amazing experience for freshmen. What side of the point do you kind of fall on?
I don't know. I think it's positive. I think, anytime you're getting that playing time, it's positive. But I also feel like he was jerked around a little bit. In both of these last 2 games, he gets put out there and taken back out. And I think that's a little tough on a guy who, he doesn't come into these games expecting to play, then he gets all up and ready to go, and he never gets a chance to get into a rhythm, especially in this game tonight. Cepho says after the game, the coaches just told him flat out, we're going with Steven in the second half. And he's like, I didn't say anything to him, that's their choice. Well, then, of course, they go with Steven, and McIntyre says after the game that, well, he just wasn't that accurate. I don't know what was wrong with him. So we went back to Cepho. I think it's easily overcomable, but I do think he was jerked around in a weird way during this season. Now it's going to be up to him to take this off season and take that experience and really use it for something valuable, and learn things from Sefo Lufau in terms of being a leader of this team, and what Sefo did over this last summer, rehabbing, and previous summers, really getting the offense together and being a leader throughout the entire summer. That's the stuff that can make Steven Montez a better player than Sefo Lufau, because he's vastly more talented, but there's a big gap between him and Sefo right now in terms of those intangibles. He has to be able to take this experience, take what he's learned from him, and turn that into the good stuff that makes great quarterbacks.
I was the only one that talked to Steven Montez post-game, and his attitude, he might have been the shortest with me out of any guy I talked to. He was obviously disappointed in both his own performance and the team's performance. He was really disappointed, I think, that he let Sefo Lufau down, and either way, maybe not going in there as the backup and playing to his capabilities, and not preparing to the level that I think that he wanted to. So many different guys, and this is another question I have for you, Ryan, told me that they just didn't really know that the challenges of a bowl week and how long it was. And I talked to you on the podcast, I talked to you since basically the Utah game, that this team has had a different mindset lately, and their hunger almost dissipated. And maybe it's a little bit of their hunger dissipating, and maybe it's a little they just didn't know how to face these challenges. But this was not the same football team that took on Washington State and Utah back-to-back weeks and beat them.
Yeah, I think there's definitely something to be said for knowing, you can say act like you've been there in so many situations. They've never been here. Whereas this is 11 straight bowls for Oklahoma State. These kids know how to handle these things. They have guys on there that know how to handle it. Look, this happens in Super Bowls, it happens in bowl games. You go out, you're a long ways away from playing, the kids are going to have fun. I mean, really, they went out and had fun, and you don't blame them for that. Like I said, that's what players do at the Super Bowl. They go out and they have fun. It's knowing where you draw the line between having fun and goofing around, and then realizing, okay, if we want to win this football game, we have to prepare like we do for any other one. And in a sense, you can't necessarily blame them for being unprepared in this one, but it happened, and you saw a team come in here with a really strong game plan. They knew exactly what Sefo Lufau was going to be trying to do on short-yarded situations. They took advantage, I think, of that month from the defensive standpoint, which is what you see so often in bowl games, because you have a month to study everything that a team did on offense, where I think the Buffs took it as an extra month to kind of hang on to something that was so special to them, and spend more time together and that sort of thing. Not as much as let's use this month to prepare to win a football.
I've got one more for you, and Jake Browning and Mason Rudolph both had spectacular games against the secondary. Comping that to the game Luke Falk had, where he was completely shut down. I know Akella Witherspoon, I know Cheeto Awuzie was hurt tonight, but how terrible did this defense look? I know the offense was inept and only scored 8 points. It was meaningless 8 points, but Oklahoma State really ran it up on the Buffs tonight.
Yeah, I mean, James Washington is a beast, and it's really hard to quantify an injury. How slowed was Cheeto? Only really he knows that. But you saw a more talented team, a more talented offense all around in both of those games than you had with Washington State. And especially tonight, they got a little bit exposed. And I think it's unfortunate for Cheeto. Now, hopefully, he'll have another chance at the Senior Bowl and the Combine and going on to kind of make up for a couple bad games. But there was a talent gap, and it was exposed, and it looked bad on them. There's really no other way to put it.
From Ryan Koenigsberg and from me, Jake Shapiro, I want to wish the happiest New Year's to all of our friends and followers that keep up with us on BSN Buffs and the entire BSN Buffs staff. We really appreciate the huge year we had in 2016, and we wouldn't be able to have it without you guys. We're in San Antonio right now. That's pretty cool. So thank you so much. From my old editor and from the editor of BSN Buffs, this has been BSN Buffs from San Antonio, wrapping up 2016. We'll see everyone in 2017.